Hey everybody, Strict9 with Strict9 GP here. Welcome to episode 7 of my Out of the Park Baseball 18 playthrough of the Philadelphia Phillies. We've gone through another month offline. We last episode ended the month of April, played through the month of April. We're now starting the month of June. We just finished May, and we are off to a great start. And considering, if you got a chance to see the last two episodes, considering how those injuries were, it was just injury after injury after injury all through spring training, the first month of the season. I had to scramble to get a lineup together. I had some holes in the outfield and third base, and it seems to be paying off. Knock on wood. We have started out, we got better in May. We were 14 and 10 in April, 17 and 11 in May. Right now we're at 31 and 21 overall, and in first place in the National League East, 3.5 over the Marlins, 4.5 over the Nationals. It's a pretty tight division so far. Between first and last place Braves, there's only 6.5 games, so a lot can happen with 110 games left, but I am really pleasantly surprised how well we've started out. The team overall, we picked it up in the batting stats and the rankings over the month of May. Pitching is still pretty solid overall, but at the end of April, we were probably first, second, third in just about every ranking here. We've come down a little bit. Earned run average, we're fourth overall in the National League. Starters ERA is third in runs allowed. Bullpen ERA is struggling still, but I made a change. One guy came off the DL midway through May, I think, and he replaced a guy who was really struggling, so that might help me out. But the batting, we're first in the league in batting average, fourth in on-base percentage, fifth in on-base and slugging, fifth in runs scored, second in hits. We're really doing well overall. I think there's a lot of balance there, and it's more than I expected at this point. I thought it was probably going to take a little bit longer for some of those guys to get healthy and start playing, so I'm hoping we can continue this. Looking at the team overall, our pitching staff, some pretty good performances here. Lockfield, who I picked up from San Francisco in the offseason, I expected him to have some long-term potential. I didn't think he would be a lights-out pitcher or anything right away. My scout thinks he has the potential to be a top of the rotation starter, which is really what I need. But he's on pace right now for 19 wins. He has 6 going into June. His ERA is 3.58. That's pretty solid. He's given me some good innings. You look at his last start was a pretty shaky one, but he's had some good ones overall. So I'm hoping that continues and he develops into the kind of pitcher that my scout thinks he's going to be. Kevin Gowdy, who's a guy who's been with me for a long time, and I think originally he was drafted in 2016, so he's a player in the system right now in the real life Phillies. He's a guy assigned to a long-term contract, and just as I signed him, he got injured. This is one of the higher contracts I've done since I've been in this playthrough. He's off to an okay start, up on pace for 200 plus strikeouts, 12 wins, 3.57 ERA. His last game was really solid, 7 innings, 11 strikeouts. So I hope he continues to play like that. I can live with that number. I know he's not going to be I don't think he's going to be a dominant type hurler or a number one starter either, but I think right now I'm just looking for 12, 15 wins out of him, and I'll be happy. Miguel Castro really turned it on in May. He was the closer I signed at the end of 2026. He was a free agent, and he's up to 11 saves right now, but I think for May he had 10 saves, 2.84 ERA. He wasn't too bad. Devin Ketchum, who's a rookie who came all the way up from short season A to pitch, his ratings have improved a little bit, and he's having up and down season, but I think he's going to get better. So the pitching is really, the balance is there, which is what I was hoping for, and I hope we can continue because that's what we need to contend for that number one standing in the East. In the lineup, some good performances overall. Kanan Smith, my catcher, 330 batting average. I'm sitting him almost all the time against lefties. I think he's platooning maybe every 5 or so games against lefties. But last I checked, he was leading the All-Star voting for catchers in the National League, which would be pretty exciting for him because he's never won that kind of award. And he's a solid guy. He's been balanced, I think, power-wise. But he's a fan favorite. Got great personality rankings and ratings, and he's an overall pretty solid catcher defensively and a good arm. So I'd like to see him make the All-Star team. Sluzarek at first was the guy I traded with Atlanta to get in the offseason, and I had no options really at first base going into the offseason. And after that first month, I didn't know how he was going to turn out, and he has exceeded any expectation I may have had when I traded for him, and even going into the season. His month of May was incredible. He had a 14-game hitting streak. He batted .442, 5 home runs, 28 RBIs. I'm really not sure why he didn't get Player of the Month. I think the guy who did win in the National League just happened to have a little bit better production numbers, but he has been solid so far, and I hope he continues. Sean Barge is having a decent rookie year. His rankings are still up there. My scout still thinks he's a 5-star potential. His average is at 278. He's picked up a couple home runs, though, for the month of May. He's on pace for some pretty good overall numbers for his rookie year. 93 runs, 25 stolen bases. I'll live with that. And I think, considering the guy I traded away, who was my second baseman last year, I think it's probably overall, if he continues like this, it could be, considering his defense, it could be, I'll come out ahead having started and gone with Barge for the year. Royce Lewis is off the DL and playing pretty solid. Juan Elman still struggling. His average went up, but he had no home runs in May, and he's rated at 16 power against lefties, 15 against righties. I'm hoping he comes back to form. I think he had 21 home runs for me last year. I'd like to see him get 20, maybe even 30 plus this year. But injuries kind of kept him out of that first month. Vargas is another big surprise. My scout still thinks he's got 3.5-star potential, but he improved a little bit in the last scouting report. His speed is good. His center rankings, his ratings at center are good. But he's on pace to be a really solid offensive player this year, and I hope he keeps it up. He's batting .324, on pace for 100 runs. And in the lineup, I think I sit him a little bit. Every 6th game against righties, but that may change if he keeps playing like this. And then the 2 guys I picked up to kind of flesh out my outfield, they've looked good. David Dahl, hopefully he can stay healthy. He's really doing good as a backup. He's shown a little bit of power there. 12 home runs projected, but 4 and just 66 at-bats for me. So he's looking pretty good. Ochoa, a little bit off the mark so far, but I expect his power to take off as the season goes on. So overall, I'm looking really good. Pleased with how this start's been. The only real question I have, Quentin Holmes is a 4-star rated overall for my scout. He was expected to be my starting left fielder or center fielder actually, and I was going to go with Elman in left. But I tell you, Vargas has been so good to start this season, and the other 2 guys who I picked up have done so well in backup. I really don't want to. I don't want to jinx it, so I'm probably going to let it ride and see if any of these guys start slipping a little bit. They may not be able to keep up the pace that they're on right now. I may throw Quentin Holmes back in here to platoon. I really don't think he's going to get his starting job back the way it's going now. So that's how my team's looking. The league, overall, like I said, we're 3.5 up in the East. Milwaukee's having a great start, playing 660 ball, 35 wins. Colorado, who I'm about to play in the next series, looking good. San Diego. In the American League, Houston still winning. Tampa Bay still winning. Those guys have been very solid this whole playthrough. Same with Kansas City and Cleveland. I think those two teams have had some good years. Detroit looking pretty good. They're currently tied with Kansas City in that Central Division. I don't have any guys in the leaderboards. You can see Sluzarek had that 14-game hitting streak, which has been one of the longest ones so far of the year. In the National League, Plyler, St. Louis is on pace for a great year. He's already won the Cy Young Award twice. He's on pace to have his career year. And 2.35 ERA so far. He's on pace for 21 wins, 379 strikeouts. At one point, that was over 400. This guy's a beast in terms of strikeouts. If you look at his last 5 games, 11, 14, 13, 14, 13 Ks in the last 5 games. I don't even know what that would add up to if you average that out over a season, but that might be a 400 strikeout pace right there. In the American League, one guy who is just amazing everybody is Juan Aranda for Baltimore, a left fielder who has been a so-so player since he came into the league, but he is tearing it up this first couple months of the season. He's on pace right now for 86 home runs, and that is lower than what it has been. I remember checking earlier, maybe a week or two before I started this playthrough, and I think he was on pace for 96 or 98 home runs. Just amazing numbers. I don't know if he can keep that up, but that may be one of the best seasons anybody's ever had in this playthrough if he does keep it up. But that's how we're looking with a lot of games left to play. I hope that we keep playing solid, and I hope that we do make the playoffs. Win the division would be an extra plus. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to play up into, I think the 6th is when the draft is. We're at the 1st. So I'm going to play the next few games out and see if we can keep this win streak going. We're currently, we've been 6-4 of the last 10. See if we can keep that pace up for the next few games. We're starting out with Colorado, playing their best pitcher, one of the best pitchers in the league this year. He has 9 wins so far, which is leading the league. Let's see what we can do. And we won in extra innings, 11 innings. And then Mike Patterson, looks like he's injured somewhere in the minors. But let's see what we had here. Oviedo started at 3rd, didn't have a great game. Lewis Ailman had a good game. Looks like he finally got those home runs I was missing 2 in this game, so that's good. Shrimsher had a solid game even though he didn't get a decision. 8 innings, 7 strikeouts. Perez, who just came off the DL, got his 2nd win in the 2nd game he's pitched since coming back. Kanan Smith keeping it up. Dahl. These guys are really surprising me. And we lost that 2nd game. Tampa Bay and Boston had a little trade going on there. Let's see. We lost 1-3. Vargas had a good game as leadoff, but not much else happened there. Ochoa 2 for 3. Coriolan, he's been up and down. He's in that. Currently, he's my 5th starter. He did give me 7 innings, which has been pretty. Every time I look at the box scores, that's what I'm seeing. The guys are giving me 6, 7 strong innings, usually. So keep it up. I'm happy. We lost again, 2-0 this time. Offense might be struggling as soon as I talk him up. Lockfield, another pretty decent game, 6 innings, just 2 earned runs, but he takes the loss. And Zach Sheffield hit for the cycle in Kansas City, but looking at the news feed, looks like the All-Star voting just got updated, and Kanan Smith still leads. And catcher, I don't know if I have anybody else who's getting any votes. Doesn't look like it. It's usually the same. Like Austin Murphy, he's been there for several years, so not seeing any real surprises for the All-Star voting so far. So this is the last game against Colorado of the series. Hopefully we can win this and split the series. And we do squeak it out. 4-3. Looks like David Dahl's injured. It's a moderate effect. I may put him on the DL, but let me check this box score here. Sean Barge looks like he picked up another home run. Sluzarek 2 for 4, good game for him. Oviedo 2 for 4. Rhea got the win, and again, like I said, 8 innings out of the starter. I haven't seen that in a few seasons of doing this playthrough. So that if that continues, I'm gold. Looks like Joey Gallo got in a fight and got suspended there. So do I put? I think I'm gonna go with. No, you know what? He's day to day. It's listed here as like minimal influence. I think I'm gonna keep him in there. I really like the way he's playing so far. So I don't want to tamper with that. Quentin Holmes, I'm gonna have to make a decision. I know pretty soon when his rehab time runs out, but I'm not ready to do that yet. So now we're playing Milwaukee. So a tough week. These are like 2 best players in the league. Checking the news, and Monday is when the players of the week are announced. So let's see what we got here. Machado, Baltimore, still playing strong. He's on pace for a good year. See if he's getting close to any milestones. 14 home runs, 16 home runs away from 500. I still think he's got a shot at 3,000 hits too, if he can keep it up. National League Player of the Week, Mike Trout. So 2 old names there, familiar names for the Players of the Week. Trout's kind of struggled so far with injuries again, but what are we, 66 games through the season, he's played 48. That's pretty good. And he's still productive, so good for him. And then the team power rankings, we're currently 5th, which is about where we've been throughout the season, at least since the start of May. We've been pretty much in the top 5. Let me look real quick to see if anybody shows up on the waiver wire. I usually try to check that every Monday. That's just kind of the routine that I've kind of gotten used to. Don't see anybody there that I could use. And then standings, Kansas City, they're on a streak. They've won 5 in a row. They've overtaken the Indians. Tampa Bay and New York still tied. Houston still going strong, but Seattle, they've won 7 in a row, so they might make it interesting. And Minnesota, ooh, they're playing 259, lost 10 in a row. They're struggling. San Francisco is a team that I expected to, after their offseason, I expected them to be in the mix. They're currently a half game off the wild card pace, so I'm going to be interested to see how they finish out the year. But Milwaukee's still going strong, and we're now up 4.5 over the Nationals. So the Nationals and Marlins struggled a little bit this week. So let's play Milwaukee. And we lost, and we're at that's moderate sort of. So we're at Milwaukee, so that's gonna probably be a bad thing too. Oviedo, a pretty decent game. Elman, another home run. He's up to 10 home runs now for the year. Hecker, a pretty good game for him. Gowdy, he only got 3 innings, so it broke the streak. Rest of the bullpen was okay. We may have had Ramos, who took the loss, gave up 4 runs, but only none of them were earned, so we may have had some bad fielding there. So one more game, and then it's off to the player draft. So I'm getting the message that Hecker is injured. I'm probably going to put him on the DL and see if he can get better. And it might be time to just kind of, I know he's still ranked highly by the OSA scout. I think it might be time to let him get some time in the minors. I just don't think he's ready. But let's go to the draft. We're picking 14th. Not as high as I would like, but at the same time, you know, the higher you pick, the worse your season was before the year before. So it's just it's hard to get those high picks without really tanking. So I expect to get probably a decent player in that first round. Maybe somebody who is close to developing into a starter, but more than likely, the way this playthrough is, the way I've seen the draft throughout this playthrough, if you're looking for somebody with short term like you, who's almost ready to play and contribute right away within a year or two, a lot of times your best bet is a closer in the first round. If there's just an outstanding closer out there, I may go for somebody in that first round. But my strategy is typically I just pick the best player available, and I don't really draft by need. I think it's kind of crazy when you think of all the development that has to go into a player making it to the majors. It's almost impossible to draft for need. So I usually just go for whatever's the best players available and let them fit into the system somehow. So we're going to go ahead and get started, and right away it looks like Sam Leslie is the best player. He's my scouts got him at 5-star rating potential. OSA has him at 5-star, and I've said this before, but I usually go with my scouts ratings as a default, but I like to compare, and if there's no big discrepancy, I'm usually good. But if there's a big discrepancy between my scout and OSA, I tend to pass. So this is a good looking starter, but he's impossible to sign for us, so can't do that. Zion Derrickott, my scouts got him at a 4.5. It's 3.5 potential for OSA, but OSA has him reaching some pretty high power potential there in contact. My scout has him even higher, potential 19. Let's see. Right now he's rated at 7 at shortstop. He's inconsistent with his fielding. That's my scout's take on him. I might stay away from that one. So not looking too good, these first few players. That's the discrepancy I'm talking about. My head scout has him, this is a closer, my head scout has him at 4.5-star potential. OSA has him at a 0.5-star. I think that's a little bit too much of a gamble with the first pick. So center fielder Skylar Dutch. Defensively, he looks pretty good. He's got some decent speed. He's 4-star from my scout and OSA potential. He projects as a fringe average bat at best, but he says he's going to be a 290 hitter. Good range, good defender, plus speed. Let me come back to him, but he's so far he's looking like my top pick. I've been drafting so many second basemen lately. I'm probably going to stay away from second baseman in these early rounds. Here's another closer. Don't like his control, and he's injury prone. He's inconsistent with his fielding. But they say he looks like, my scout also says he looks like a natural with huge potential. So the gamble is, if I go with this guy, can he improve on those defensive ratings, position ratings? Whereas with Skylar Dutch, he's 21. His ratings so far are pretty solid, and he bats right, which I like. I don't really have too many good righties in my system, minor league system so far. I mean, this is a big. Mike Burt's is another. Yeah, it's too big a discrepancy there. I think I'm going to go with Dutch. I think he, to my way of thinking, has the best overall rankings. Rodolfo Puente. Really wish I could draft this guy. Tommy Ray. 4.5 star. Oh yeah, he's the guy who's Pat Jordan. Another one with big discrepancy between ratings. Dan Hagerman. And this guy, he's got a potential 20 stuff rating. But just the 2 pitches, I mean, he would definitely be a closer. I worry about his movement, if it's going to top out at 11. I'd like that to be a little higher, so I think I'll skip on him. Bobby Holmes, did I? Man, he's won $4 million. And my head scouts only got him at a 1.5 star potential, but OSA really likes the guy. Jorge Dorado, he's impossible to sign. There's a first baseman who has got equal potential from my scout and OSA, but I'm in the second round here. I'd really like to have a better pick than a potential 3-star player, which kind of leaves me with another second baseman in the system. He has good personality rankings, but he's only rated to play second base. Don't like his speed either. And that's, do you trust your scout? That's what it boils down to a lot. Now here's an interesting. No, his personality ratings are not so good. Here's a potential 3-star catcher, but OSA doesn't like him at all. Nate Lawrence. He's got a few good position ratings there, but OSA, again, they don't like him too much. I really think I'm going to take a gamble on this guy, even though OSA doesn't like him. I'm going to trust my scout with this because those are really good potential closer ratings. 20 stuff, 13 movement, 12 control. So a high pick to use for a closer, but I've had some pretty good success, good luck doing that before. So now we can just kind of look at who else is available. I think I might go with his first baseman here. Although the scouts say he's a career minor leaguer at best. He's got some potential power, and he's got pretty decent speed, but OSA has him probably a little bit better overall. I'm going to take a shot on him. So now we're into the 3rd round still. I think I got a supplemental pick from that I picked up for a free agent that I lost. Let me look at the batting ratings here. Batting potential. Puente. Nobody's drafted him so far, so he's probably just he's probably saying that to everyone. He's probably going to go back to college. He's impossible as well. Okay, this is a good looking catcher here. Rated really highly, 16 with a strong arm. Potential contact from my scouts, 13. Good gap power. And OSA likes him pretty good too. It's been a while since I've drafted a catcher who's had a good run. So this was Millman. No. So I like the numbers on here. Oh, God, I hope he's available. No, he got picked up. He was really probably the best guy available there. Let's see, Jorge Zuniga. He's won a lot of money. Ron Latta, who's a third baseman, rated really well at third baseman, but reservations about his hustle and defensive potential. No thanks. So I'm back to looking at this Sam Keys. Nope. Too big of a discrepancy right now. I don't mind though. I like the idea of drafting a catcher. But these guys are kind of all over the place. He grades out as an average fielder. That's not what I'm really looking for. Let me see, based on contact, if anybody's coming up looking strong here. His potential contact is really good, but there's questions about his defensive ability there in the outfield. Chris Bennett, Jared Bush, nah. I think I'm going to try for this guy. I know there's a discrepancy between him and OSA, but my scout likes him. Even though he says he's destined to be a career minor leaguer, he's got good defense, good power, and he's only 21. So if he can develop that power just even a little bit better, I think he's got a good chance. So let me just go back to him. Sam Keys. So now we're in the 5th round. This will be my last pick before I let you guys go. I really hated that I didn't spot that catcher sooner. He was a good looking player overall. Pat Millman. Yeah, I just don't like his personality and defense. Some of these guys I think would just be too big of a gamble. I do like when I start getting into the 2 and 3 stars or 2 and 3 stars and below prospects, I usually start going by ratings at that point, like their contact potential. Sometimes I'll mix it up and go for somebody who's high in power potential, or sometimes I'll look at speed, like this guy Danny Atkins has great speed, good defensive ratings. If he's still available later in the draft, I might take a shot at him. Or Ken Friend. His speed's through the roof, but he just doesn't have the potential contact and other ratings that I look for. Or Bobby Leatham. Outlook is a mystery. But boy, 2020. for his speed. Let's see what my scout says. Blazing speed. He could be an interesting pick, say maybe in the 10th, 15th round, somewhere along in there. But right now, I'm really not happy with the draft that I'm looking at. I've seen some better ones overall. Let's see about this Velasco. No. If I look at pitchers, potential, Alfredo Espinal. Okay, this one, he's young, so he's got some time to develop here, but I like his potential ratings for sure. OSA likes him a little bit better than my scout, but he's got good personality ratings. I'm gonna take a chance on him, and that'll round out the top 5 there. I'll probably finish the rest of this offline, but looks like it's slim pickings. I'm probably gonna have to pick up a lot of potential 1-star guys here and hope that they develop in my system. But more than likely, when it comes to pitchers, I'm looking at stuff. I look at really everything. I try to go with guys who their potential is at least, especially when we get to the later rounds, 10 or greater across the board. Like somebody like Chris Brown here, 14, 13, 11 potential. I might give him a chance. And then for batters, it's kind of the same way. I'm looking for guys who contact, gap power, a good balance. And sometimes I might just decide to pick guys with speed. I might go a few rounds in a row and I'll just pick the fastest guys available whose ratings look okay. Like I was saying about Bobby Leatham earlier, I think he would be a good gamble to take, just not now. A little bit too early in the draft for that. But I'll go ahead and finish out the draft and pick up a bit of play. I might sim through. I think the next milestone would be the All-Star game on the 11th. So I may go ahead and sim through the 11th. That'll be another month, and see if the Phillies can keep up the winning. And I hope you've enjoyed the episode and got some tips, pointers out of it, and hopefully by now you're rooting for the Phillies like I am, and hopefully you like what I've done to develop the team and maybe give us a shot at making the playoffs. But if you have any comments or any feedback you want to leave in the comment section below, if you got any questions about the way I'm playing or any players you'd like to see how they're turning out in this playthrough, just drop me a line, let me know. If you want to keep up with the rest of the series, subscribe. You'll get a message whenever I add a new video. But that'll be it for now. I'll look forward to seeing you in episode 8. Thanks.